Okay, let me do a quick review, we'll see, of Battlefront, Dresden Files novel number 17 by Jim Butcher. Battlefront is very much the second half of a full story started in Peace Talks, also a 2020 Dresden Files novel. In that novel, we started off the book with Thomas, Dresden's half brother, being completely messed up. He had gone in and attacked a respected ally in the Unseelie Accords between the fairy folk and dark elves and other folks, and had attacked somebody inexplicably, and had gotten beaten so nearly to death that basically all they could do to kind of save him was Dresden had to take him out to the Reach, which is a island Reach, which is a magical prison for gigantically powerful, dangerous magical beings, which, long story, Dresden is now the keeper of, where there's this incredibly powerful force there that holds all these magical beings. Put Thomas into one of these things, basically in a kind of a torture coma, but would protect him. It turned out he was doing something to save or protect his wife, who had given birth to a child. At least that seems to have been what the thing was. So that happens, and it happens all in the context of they're having peace talks with these foremost these underwater dealy bobs creatures who have major grudge against Dresden's sort of employer. He is the Winter Knight, the Queen Mab, the Queen of Winter fairy folk, is who he is in employ with. Maggie Carpenter, his former apprentice, because he is a wizard. God, did I even mention that? He's a wizard. Is one of the ladies of winter. So yeah, it's peace talks with these people to try and kind of diffuse the situation. However, it's not peace talks, and at the end of it, a genuine Titan has allied with them, Titania, who has also got major grudges, basically against all of humankind, considers them cockroaches that have driven her out of her power. And the battle begins. The battle is joined, which is what happens in Battlefront. Battlefront is basically, does it take over? Oh, it takes on. It's basically over one very action-packed night of battle, in which, because it is book 17 and it's kind of a season ender, you could get the sense of everything's been kind of culminating up in this. A lot of machinations that have been going behind the scenes kind of culminate, that you're going to have major casualties. And indeed, it was one of these books you looked at and went, okay, well, we've got Maggie Carpenter, we've got Butters, we've got what's her name? Karen, oh damn, I forget her name. The police, the former police detective. God, I've forgotten her name. That is funny. Got her. We've got Dresden's daughter. All these people that could, potentially get offed in this thing, and you kind of get that sense of yep, we've got to make things really important here, so somebody's going to get offed, and indeed, people do get offed. Now, a problem with the series this long is some of the people that get offed that Dresden is pretty bummed out about. I can vaguely remember maybe what their stories was, but I don't have that much of it. I didn't have that much of an emotional connection. Now, when the major, the major death happened, that was like, okay, yeah, you got me there. That was a good one. That was a good one, and just how it happens is good in a book that is got a lot of violence in it. That this it was, it was. I appreciated how that was. Now that said, there is massive magical battles. Um, Jim Butcher is actually good at writing these things to give them a little bit of physical impact, even when they're kind of ridiculously overpowered at this point. Um, Now, when I say overpowered, I mean everybody is overpowered. So it actually still is even. It's not one of these things where Butcher has made Harry Dresden more and more powerful as he's gone along, but he's faced more and more powerful, adversaries. Indeed, we get a Titan who is basically, a god that he is fighting against. So even though he has gigantic powers, he's still very much the underdog. He's Spider-Man fighting the Incredible Hulk or Superman, if he was doing a crossover comic, I guess. And we've got good use of a character like Butters, who was a very kind of nerdish coroner in the first books, has slowly kind of worked his way up and is now a Knight of the Cross. A Knight of the Cross, a Christian, very much a Christian thing. And there is a thing in this of Dresden. This Dresden universe does have God in it. It does have God, it has angels, it has faith. And there's sometimes I kind of wonder, hey, is Jim Butcher writing Christian fiction? Because there is some ways that, you know, I think it's, even though, you could look at it, if you're me as like an atheist, you could see it as like, well, these are all different little stories and different little religions. But I do think Butcher, probably knowing his audience and stuff like that, knows that Christianity has a little bit more of a oomph to it, a little bit more of an emotional, cultural oomph to it. And he does use that, and it uses it in a way you think, there's a certain way that I do think this is definitely, for all its kind of its kind of wackiness and stuff, it is rather kind of Christian in a way, not overbearingly, maybe a little overbearingly at parts, getting in the latter thing, but yeah, it's there. This is also less horny of a book than past books. I've definitely had issues with Dresden. This is all told from the point of view of Harry Dresden, very much kind of ogling women, of everybody. It's like, what does the women's breast look like? Even in a couple of books back, not too long ago, it's like, of course, if a woman has got to rob a bank, she's going to have to do it naked and on full. If she's on fire, she's going to have to be naked. This book seems less about that, and you get the sense that Harry Dresden is shifting more from sizing up the ladies to being more focused on his daughter, which is interesting. There is also, though that said, there is also the thing of his continuing relationship with his apprentice, Maggie Carpenter, who he has known throughout these books from like a kind of a young girl to a blossoming girl. And there's been all these times where it's just like he wears the winter mantle, which is basically a thing that makes him super aggressive and can make him super aggressive in a kind of a sexual way. And it's like we're using the magical stuff to kind of make excuses for that, but also to maybe just kind of comment on male drive in general. And Harry is very long lived. He is going to continue to be kind of a virile, kind of young looking dude when he is older, and he's got this young apprentice who, at least at other points, has definitely had super hots for him. That seems to have faded away. However, with the events of this novel, you sort of start wondering, are we going to be setting up for her to finally be his partner later on, which is like, still a bit on the kind of the special place in hell position there. That being a quote from Firefly about, taking advantage of young women when you're in positions of power. It's a special place in hell, Harry. Special place in hell, as Shepherd Book tells the captain in Firefly. Yeah, yeah. However problematic that might be as well by now. Um, so yeah. I It was a good book. He does good bash ups, smash ups really well. I'm less interested in the bash ups, smash ups than I was about kind of the ramifications. The person who dies is definitely a ramification. The fact that his relationship with the Wizard White Council is gone to hell. Um, I don't know. There's always this thing of like we're trying to paint him as like he's losing his humanity, but we're sort of always with him so much that we see his humanity so much. I mean, he does really lose it at a key point in here, and friends have to really pull him off in ways, and also in a kind of a Christian way again, that finally helps him see the light. Um, so yeah, I mean, I enjoy my Harry Dresden. Um, splitting it up into two novels is difficult because it sort of the first novel was not a complete story, and so it suffered from it. The second novel is the conclusion, and it's all climax, but it kind of suffers from that because it's like there's been a gap of a while. I mean, I'm reading these as they come out, so I'm at a bit of a disadvantage. I would say anyone coming into this series who's listened to this review all the way through at this point should be like, no, you need to just be able to sit down and read both books at the same time, welded together as one book, and maybe you would enjoy it more as a cohesive whole as that. That said, these books are also culminations of books before it. And in some ways, they're asking you to remember a lot of details of what happened beforehand that I don't really care about. But Jim Butcher is also good at knowing that and kind of painting broad strokes, and to get you over all that, to just enjoy yourself, because it is cheesy wizard fun, violent wizard fun, and I enjoy that. So yeah, that is my review of Battleground by Jim Butcher. And yeah, I will now take a break from Harry Dresden. Hopefully, Jim Butcher will probably take a while off to recharge his batteries for whatever the next Dresden book is, and I'll come back to it. Read as always by the very incredibly great narrator James Marsters, Spike, doing his an actual acceptable American accent, not his weird flat Californian accent that he actually has in real life. No, James Marsters will always be a punk vampire from England in my books. All right, that's all I have to say about that. More videos later.